William Dudley, Big Bill Haywood, a towering figure in the American labor movement, was both celebrated and vilified for his uncompromising commitment to workers' rights and industrial unionism. However, his career took a dramatic turn in 1906 when he became embroiled in one of the most infamous legal battles in U.S. history, the conspiracy trial for the murder of former Idaho Governor Frank Steunenberg. This high-profile case not only tested Haywood's resolve, but also revealed the lengths to which powerful interests would go to suppress the labor movement. The trial was a crucible for Haywood and his supporters, laying bare the tensions between labor and capital in the early 20th century America. This documentary delves into the events surrounding the murder conspiracy, the sensational trial, and its impact on Haywood's life and legacy. Born on February 4, 1869, in Salt Lake City, Utah Territory, William Dudley Haywood grew up in a family of modest means. His father died when Haywood was 3, leaving his mother to support the family. At the age of 9, Haywood suffered a severe injury that left him blind in one eye, a condition that shaped his worldview and his future activism. Forced to leave school at an early age, Haywood began working in the mines of Nevada at the age of 15. These formative years exposed him to the harsh realities of industrial labor and the systematic exploitation of workers. Haywood's early experiences in the mines introduced him to the concept of class struggle. He witnessed firsthand the dangerous working conditions, long hours, and meager wages endured by miners. These observations instilled in him a deep sense of injustice and a desire to fight for change. His exposure to socialist ideas and union organizing later provided him with the tools to channel his anger into action. This period of rapid industrialization, while presenting challenges, also fueled unprecedented economic growth and innovation. The burgeoning industries of the American West offered a chance for individuals, even those with limited education like Haywood, to forge a new life. The mining industry, in particular, played a crucial role in westward expansion and national development, attracting workers seeking a better future. While undeniably hazardous, mining jobs provided a livelihood for many and contributed significantly to the nation's burgeoning prosperity. Haywood's entry into the labor movement began with the Western Federation of Miners, a militant union that sought to improve conditions for miners in the western United States. In 1896, he joined the WFM and quickly rose through its ranks, becoming a member of its executive board in 1900. The WFM was known for its confrontational tactics, including strikes and direct action, which often led to violent clashes with mine owners and law enforcement. One of Haywood's defining moments came during the Colorado Labor Wars, which were in 1903 through 1904, a series of labor disputes between the WFM and mining companies. As a leader in these struggles, Haywood demonstrated his commitment to industrial unionism, the idea that all workers, regardless of skill or trade, should unite in a single organization to challenge capitalist exploitation. Although the strikes were met with brutal suppression, they solidified Haywood's reputation as a fearless advocate for workers' rights. It's vital to acknowledge that labor disputes of this era often involved violence on both sides, creating a climate of fear and distrust. While workers sought better conditions and fair treatment, some of the tactics employed by unions, including the WFM, further escalated tensions and hindered productive dialogue with employers. The murder of Frank Steunenberg on December 30th, 1905, was a shocking act of violence that set the stage for one of the most sensational trials in American history. Steunenberg, who had served as Idaho's governor from 1897 to 1901, was a polarizing figure. Initially elected with support from labor groups, his relationship with the Western Federation of Miners soured during a series of violent labor disputes in the Coeur d'Alene mining district. In 1899, amidst escalating tensions between miners and mine owners, Steunenberg called for federal troops to restore order. The intervention led to mass arrests, the use of bullpens to detain workers under brutal conditions, and the suppression of the union. To many miners, Steunenberg's actions represented a betrayal, and he became a symbol of corporate interests oppressing labor. Regardless of one's perspective on Steunenberg's actions as governor, the use of violence to address grievances is unacceptable in a democratic society. Political assassination undermines the rule of law and extinguishes the possibility of reasoned debate and compromise. On the evening of December 30th, 1905, Steunenberg returned to his home in Caldwell, Idaho, after a walk through the snow-covered streets of the small town. As he approached the gate of his property, a powerful bomb rigged to explode upon the gate's opening detonated. The force of the blast was so intense that it shattered windows in nearby homes and left Steunenberg mortally wounded. He succumbed to his injuries within minutes, leaving the quiet town of Caldwell in a state of shock and horror. News of the murder spread rapidly, and speculation about the motive behind the attack dominated headlines. Given Steunenberg's controversial history with the labor movement, suspicion immediately fell on the WFM. The governor's decision to deploy federal troops during the Coeur d'Alene strikes had earned him the enmity of many miners, and some viewed his assassination as an act of retribution. Law enforcement agencies, pressured to find the culprits, launched a massive investigation, enlisting the help of the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. Within days, the investigation led to a Harry Orchard, a drifter and former miner with a dubious past. Orchard had checked into a local hotel under an assumed name and exhibited behavior that aroused suspicion. When police searched his room, they discovered bomb-making materials and documents linking him to the crime. Under intense interrogation, Orchard confessed to planting the bomb that killed Steunenberg. His confession, however, did not stop there. He implicated prominent WFM leaders, including Big Bill Haywood, Charles Moyer, and George Pettibone, claiming they had orchestrated the assassination as a part of a broader campaign of violence against their enemies. Orchard's confession painted a chilling picture of a conspiracy that extended far beyond the murder of Steunenberg. He described meetings where WFM leaders allegedly discussed targets, funded his activities, and provided logistical support for a series of planned attacks. According to Orchard, Steunenberg's murder was intended to serve as a warning to other anti-union figures. However, Orchard's credibility was immediately questioned. A known gambler and opportunist, Orchard had a history of criminal behavior and a penchant for fabricating stories to serve his own interests. Critics argued that his confession had been coerced, possibly under threat or promise of leniency from the Pinkertons, who had a vested interest in discrediting the WFM. Despite the doubts surrounding Orchard's testimony, his detailed accusations provided the foundation for the state's case against Haywood and the others. The arrests of Haywood, Moyer, and Pettibone were met with widespread outrage among labor activists, who viewed the charges as a politically motivated attack on the labor movement. The stage was set for a trial that would capture national attention and highlight the deep divisions between labor and capital in America. Newspapers across the country sensationalized the story, portraying Haywood and his associates as dangerous radicals who posed a threat to public order. The arrest and extradition of Haywood, Moyer, and Pettibone to Idaho sparked a nationwide controversy. Labor organizations, socialists, and progressives rallied to their defense, arguing that the charges were a politically motivated attempt to crush the labor movement. The trial of Big Bill Haywood, held in Boise in 1907, became a focal point for the broader struggle between labor and capital. The prosecution's case rested heavily on the testimony of Harry Orchard, whose account painted Haywood as the mastermind behind a campaign of violence against anti-labor figures. Orchard's testimony was vivid and detailed, but it also raised significant doubts. Under cross-examination by Clarence Darrow, Orchard's credibility was systematically dismantled. Darrow highlighted inconsistencies in his story, his history of criminal behavior, and the lack of independent evidence linking Haywood to the crime. Darrow's defense strategy was twofold. First, he argued that Orchard's confession had been coerced by the Pinkertons and that the entire case against Haywood was a fabrication designed to weaken the labor movement. Second, Darrow turned the trial into a broader indictment of the social economic system that exploited workers and used violence to maintain control. He framed Haywood as a champion of the working class, who was being persecuted for standing up to the powerful industrial interests. The trial also featured testimony from prominent figures on both sides of the labor divide, as well as dramatic courtroom moments that captured the nation's attention. The defense brought forward witnesses who testified to the oppressive conditions in the mining industry and the heavy-handed tactics used against workers and union members. This testimony not only reinforced Haywood's image as a labor leader fighting for justice, but also exposed the systemic inequalities faced by workers. Darrow's closing argument was a defining moment in the trial. In a speech lasting over 11 hours, he passionately defended Haywood and the broader labor movement. He invoked themes of justice, class struggle, and the inherent dignity of the working class. Darrow's rhetoric painted a vivid picture of the oppressive conditions faced by miners and the efforts of the labor movement to challenge such inequalities. His eloquence and ability to humanize Haywood resonated deeply with the jury. Public opinion during the trial was sharply divided. While labor activists and progressives saw Haywood as a hero, opponents viewed him as a dangerous radical. The courtroom itself became a stage for the larger cultural and political battle over the rights of workers and the limits of corporate power in America. The trial's proceedings were covered extensively by the press, transforming it into a national spectacle and a referendum on the labor movement's role in society. On July 28, 1907, after more than 3 months of testimony and deliberation, the jury found Haywood not guilty. The verdict was met with jubilant celebrations among labor activists and supporters, who saw it as a major victory for the labor movement. However, the acquittal did not come without consequences. The trial had drained the financial and emotional resources of Haywood and his allies. It also revealed the deep divisions within American society, with many still viewing the labor movement as a threat to stability and order. For Haywood, the trial was both a personal ordeal and a turning point in his public life. The acquittal solidified his status as a symbol of labor resistance, but it also made him a target for continued scrutiny and harassment by authorities and industrialists. In the years following the trial, Haywood's involvement with the industrial workers of the world, the IWW, grew. The IWW, which he had co-founded in 1905, gained momentum and became a powerful voice for industrial unionism, advocating for direct action and the abolition of wage labor. Despite the acquittal, Haywood's reputation remained polarizing. For many, he was a hero who had stood up against overwhelming odds to defend the rights of workers. For others, he was an agitator whose radical ideas threatened the social order. The murder conspiracy and trial of Big Bill Haywood remain a defining episode in the history of the American labor movement. They underscore the complexities of balancing the rights of workers with the needs of a growing industrial economy. While Haywood championed the cause of labor, the tragic murder of Frank Steunenberg cast a dark shadow over his legacy and serves as a stark reminder that violence can never be a justifiable tool in the pursuit of justice. The trial itself, while highlighting the deep divisions within American society at the time, also demonstrated the strength of the American legal system in ensuring a fair trial, even amidst intense political pressure. Haywood's acquittal, regardless of one's opinion of his actions and beliefs, reaffirmed the principle of innocent until proven guilty, a cornerstone of American justice. If you liked this video and you'd like to see more, please subscribe. Thank you.